And here we are back again with video number 5, PSI CPT Guru Boot Camp. Now, most of you have heard me say the same thing over and over and over, so I'm going to try to fast forward through that. I want to stress another point. There are two competing companies in our industry. There is a company called Milady. The actual parent company is called Cengage. There is a competitor company called Salon Fundamentals. Some people call it Pivot Point. I do not have a favorite. I am not advocating one over the other. Here's the issue. They do not contain the exact same information. Pivot Point is better on some areas than Milady. Milady is better on some areas than Pivot Point. The problem is, if your test happens to have a bunch of questions from an area your book is weak, you're going to fail your test. If you luck out and your test comes heavily from a book that you used in school, you got a better chance of passing. But you can't know that going in. So no matter how hard you study, you are going to see questions that are not in the book. People call us all the time and say, there were so many questions not in my book. Now that's a true statement, but there's a couple of possibilities as to why. Number one, they came from the book of the competitor company. Or number two, they were not in any book. They are created in the minds of PSI examiners. They are not in any book. Now, there's another problem. I see right now that there are 3 Milady cosmetology books that the states are using. Those books, unfortunately, do not say the same thing. Some books are more complete than others, and they, on a number of occasions, actually contradict each other. Now, I have written to this company and sent them photocopies of pages completely contradicting themselves. In the newest version, on page 744 and on page 745, when you open it, it's like this. They say completely contradictory statements. A 3rd grader could read them and see they are contradictory statements. The opposite or the complementary color of yellow is violet. It is not peach. One page says the opposite color is violet. Next page says the opposite color is peach. It's not peach. But even if it were peach, then it can't be violet. It can't be both. The book on side-by-side pages says 2 completely contradictory things. What are you supposed to say on your state board exam? Can you raise your hand and say, excuse me, did this question come from page 744 or did it come from page 745? You see, that's not an option. This is one of the problems you're going to have. Now, we're going to jump right into our material. First of all, we're going to start with the free PSI questions, because that's what this is all about. As I've said repeatedly, I'm giving you the PSI questions. I paid for them. I bought them. I took the test, all of them. And I picked out the ones that are particularly problematic because they either contradict your textbooks or they're not even in your textbook. And here is one. Air forming refers to the process of allowing the hair to dry naturally, drying the hair using a diffuser and then designing the hair, C, drying and designing the hair to create a new form, or D, simultaneously drying and designing the hair to create a new form. And there is your answer. Air forming refers to the process of simultaneously drying and designing the hair to create a new form. Most of the cosmetologists will think of this as like a round hairbrush and a blow dryer. We do it all the time. It has a very fancy name, not in your textbook, called air forming. Now another question over here. This question is in the book so many times, but it never says exactly the same thing twice. Okay? It says this brush is used to groom the hair, polish the hair, distribute scalp oils through the hair, give shine to the hair, remove product buildup, including dust and lint, often found on braided and locked hairstyles. Some version of that question is 100% on your test. What is the brush that is used to accomplish all these marvelous things? Okay, it says natural or titanium brush, natural or ion brush, natural or boar bristle brush, natural or round plastic brush. What type of brush can accomplish miracles? Okay, it can groom the hair, polish the hair, distribute scalp oils on otherwise dry hair, distribute scalp oils on otherwise dry scalps, give shine to the hair, remove product buildup, remove dust and lint from braided and locked hairstyles. This brush can sing and dance and practically do magic. What is it? Natural or titanium, natural or ion, natural or boar, natural or plastic? And the answer is natural or boar. That is a compilation question from about 15 different pages in 6 different textbooks. I don't know which of those marvelous things they're going to ask you about, but the answer never changes. It's the natural or boar bristle brush, B-O-A-R. Now we're going to go a little bit over here and do some other things, okay? Some questions that are in your textbook, but are not in all the textbooks, or when they are, contradict or disagree with each other. It kind of puts you out there on the edge. What am I supposed to say when there's 2 textbooks and they disagree? Okay? I'm going to try to help you with this. Okay? These are real, true state board test questions and answers from your state. This is not a heat-producing current. Pay special attention to the word not. These are called negative questions, and there's always several of them on the test, and it's so easy to miss the word not because we're nervous, we're in a hurry. This is not a heat-producing current. Tesla, violet ray, high frequency, or galvanic. Galvanic is not a heat-producing current. The next question we want to take a look at is over here. Bear with me for a moment. I'm trying to find them. Okay. If you are not sure a metallic dye has been used on your client's hair, what should you do? Now you should stop right here and ask yourself, what is a metallic dye? If you are not certain a metallic dye has been used on your client's hair, what should you do? A, ask the client. B, perform a strand test. C, perform a predisposition test. D, proceed with caution. Do you ask the client? Do you do a strand test? Do you do a PD test? Or do you proceed with caution? Asking your client is pointless. They don't know what a metallic dye is any more than you do. What you do is a strand test. You perform a strand test to see if there's metallic hair color or metallic dye on your client's hair. We will get into later exactly what a metallic hair color is. Now the next question, how can you ensure that tools, equipment, and surfaces are properly cleaned and disinfected to prevent the spread of the hepatitis B virus? Be certain all surfaces are thoroughly cleaned and disinfected using a CDC registered disinfectant. B, apply undiluted sodium hydroxide with a minimum strength of 5.25%. C, as per FDA regulations, apply the undiluted sodium hypochlorite, otherwise known as Clorox bleach, with a minimum 60% strength of at least 5.5%. Or D, apply an EPA registered disinfectant. And the answer is D. See, A, B, and C sound really good and all contain something that's true, percentages or chemicals. The problem is this. Disinfectants are registered by the EPA, not the CDC and not the FDA. Any disinfectant question, the answer is the Environmental Protection Agency. The shortest answer. See, my grandson told me, well, whenever you're unsure, pick the longest answer. Well, he's wrong. Okay? Right there was the shortest answer. Do you think the test designers don't know people say this? Pick the longest answer? They're not stupid. This is what they do for a living. They design tests. That's their job. Okay? Understand, the EPA is involved in charge of all disinfectants. Now the next question goes really into chemistry. Blank are the primary ingredients in shampoos and conditioners. Surfactants, emulsions, proteins, or humectants. Blank are the primary ingredients in shampoos and conditioners. Surfactants, emulsions, proteins, or humectants. The primary ingredient in a shampoo or conditioner is emulsion. Emulsion is a nice fancy chemical word that means things which would ordinarily not stay mixed up are chemically bound to each other. You don't have to shake the shampoo bottle before you open it. Unlike Italian salad dressing, which all tends to separate. Emulsions are anything with the chemical binders. There's a nice fancy word, binder, B-I-N-D-E-R, on the test quite frequently. Emulsions are binders that hold things together otherwise would not stay mixed up. They're called emulsions. A very common example, and probably ladies are more familiar with this than most of the guys, nail polish. What happens to nail polish when it gets old? It separates. And you have the color on here, and then some clear, then some oil. Nail polish, much like shampoo and conditioner, is an emulsion. Over time, in sunlight, the chemical binders break down and it begins to separate. Now the other question here, this is an unstable physical mixture of two or more otherwise immiscible liquids mixed together, held together with the aid of a binder or an emulsifier. Surfactants, emulsions, proteins, and humectants. Again, emulsions. A long question says the same thing the short question just said, emulsions. And here's the question, which of the following is a typical example of an emulsion? Or sometimes it says, what is the most common emulsion in our industry? The answer is shampoo. Okay? It's the most common emulsion in our industry, shampoo. Now another question over here says, this regulation requires chemical manufacturers and importers to communicate the potential hazards associated with their product. The safety data sheet, the material safety data sheet, the hazard communication standard sheet, or universal precautions. Which document? Universal precautions is not a document. Which document is required by manufacturers and importers? Is the safety data sheet, the material safety data sheet, or the hazard communication standard sheet? And the answer is the safety data sheet. We're going to stop there because there's several questions coming up about the safety data sheet. I don't want the video to run too long. As I say all the time, if you're learning anything in these videos, please hit the subscribe button and like us below. It helps get these videos out to more people. If you're learning anything in these videos and you want to know more than we can possibly cover in these videos, more than the free questions we're reading to you from PSI and CPT Guru, give us a call, 760-534-4434, English and Spanish, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. Visit us online at www.cosmetologystateboardexam.com. We have for barbers, cosmetologists, estheticians, and nail technicians. You can get this book. It has every question for your state, not for your friend's state, for your state. Every question your state has asked in the last 9 to 12 months. The book is constantly being updated, so the book from 5 years ago is not going to help you today. The test is not the same. This book has every question. It's very well priced. It's cheaper than failing your test. It's cheaper than PSI's material. It's cheaper than CPT Guru's material. And it's better. www.cosmetologystateboardexam.com or 760-534-4434.